Hi again, Mark here from Talkingbass. Today, Talkingbass is getting rickrolled. Yes, we're going to look at the bass line for the song Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. Yes, I know the original is a synth bass line, but let me tell you, the bass line is great to learn for loads of reasons. It features a bunch of syncopated 16th notes, and from a harmony standpoint, this bass line is pretty weird. In fact, the whole thing is plain weird, and I first realised this about 20 years ago when I had to learn it for a touring show. Well, it took quite a bit of learning and memorising simply because it's just so weird and not at all what you'd expect, even if you've heard the song a bunch of times. So, let's get into it. As always, the tab and track is there over at the Talkingbass website, so just click the link in the info below to play along, and first of all, we'll be looking at the chorus and intro riff that sounds like this. So, first things first, this is a synth bass that goes down to a low E flat. Now, you could play this on a 5-string or D tune for that low note, but today I'm going to use an octave pedal and a pick in an attempt to get that synthy bass tone. So, I'm using an MXR bass octave deluxe with the lower octave set full and the dry signal about halfway. If you're using that pedal, then it's worth mentioning that I'm using the growl octave side. Then I'm also using a pick for the attack, and I'm playing over the fingerboard to get a little more warmth and to help with avoiding glitches from the pedal. So let's have a look at that chorus riff. So we begin on an E flat at the 6th fret of the A string. So we've got 8th note to 16th note, so 1 and A. So then we have this drop down of C, B flat, and down to the A flat, so that's going to be 10th, 8th, and 6th frets on the D string. Okay, so the rhythm is all there on the music. So then we have this little move of E flat to A flat, 6th fret on the A and D strings, and then we're into the F there at the 8th fret of the A string. So again, 1 and A, 1 and A. So then we just have that C to the B flat, so we don't drop all the way down to the A flat, we just stop at the B flat, so 10th fret to 8th fret on the D string. Okay, so then we have this little, what you could call a fill of, so that's the B flat there, 8th fret of the D string, so 1, 2, 3, and then up to the C, 10th fret and back. So you can just try those first 2 bars round and round, start slowly, and then just gradually build up speed. In terms of the fingering in the left hand, I'm just using first finger for that E flat, and then I'm coming down 4th finger, and then 1st finger for the next 2 notes. So then 1st finger joint bar across, and then I actually move to the 1st finger for the F, and then you can either use the 3rd finger or the 4th finger to lead you back to the 1st finger for the B flat. I just use the 4th finger usually. In terms of the picking, it's usually alternate picking, and the only thing that will probably throw you off a little will be the E flat to the A flat, that little bar across there. So then you've just got to play a downstroke and an upstroke before landing back on that F. So it's, you just got to get your picking in order to do it. But that's the only bit that'll probably cause problems. So for bars 3 and 4, it's almost identical, but we don't have the little bar in there, we just have a repeat on the A flat, so which is a lot easier. And then instead of, we have, okay, so we're on the A flat there to the B flat and back, so 6th to 8th and 6th frets on the D string, and then up to the 6th fret on the G string, and then back down to where we started on the E flat on the 6th fret of the A string. So it's all 6th fret there. So So that can be quite tricky to get because you've got a lot of jumping around with the finger there. And you got to jump straight back from that G string back down to that A string. So because this is a synth bass, a lot of these moves are a little un-bass guitar-like. It's a little bit odd, like that. You know, that little leap, that little skip and a jump on the of that fourth. It's not the kind of thing that a bass player would usually do. You might do it on a keyboard, but on a bass it's a little bit awkward, okay? Exactly the same thing with this, you know, and then back down. Kind of thing that works with the hands on a keyboard, especially if you're using two hands, but on a bass it just seems a little bit weird. But I do like learning synth bass lines for that reason. So that whole riff sounds like this. 3, 4. Etc. Now, when it comes to analysis of this line and how it works, the chords are E flat minor 7 to A flat, then F minor 7 to B flat minor. The key signature is basically D flat major. That means that relative to the D flat, we have chords 2 to 5 and then 3 to 6, which, to be fair, are pretty popular chord progressions. The chords never really settle or resolve. So if I play through it, we have around, you know, it doesn't resolve. It kind of sounds like it's resolving to the B flat minor, but in fact, if we were to resolve to the D flat, it'd sound like this. There you go. So that's the chords, but how does the bass line relate? Well, if we were to just play root notes through that progression, we'd have okay, so just the E flat to the A flat, F to the B flat. But instead, we have embellishments around them like this. So we've got that C, B flat, leading into the A flat. Then approach note into that B flat. So then we have that fill on the B flat of, which is just root note with that neighbour note. And then it's the same again, but at the end, over that B flat, we've actually got the 7th and then the 3rd in there. So we're working from the 7th up to the root note, back and up to the 3rd. So it's all working around the chord tones here. Now, all of that is pretty straightforward stuff, but it's the rhythm that tends to add the complex jumpy feel in there. You know, it's on that synth and it's just bouncing around with those syncopated 16th notes. So even though harmonically the chorus riff is not that complicated, you know, it's all working around chord tones and the root notes, it's the rhythm with those syncopated 16ths that make it a little bit more, let's say, interesting. Next, we have the verse riff, and this is where things get a little weirder. So the riff sounds like this. So let's just work through those notes. So we begin on a B flat, 8th fret of the D string. So we've got that 1 and a, so we've got 8th note, 2 16th notes. Then we've got the D flat to the C, 6th fret to the 5th fret on the G string. And then we've got the A flat back to the B flat, so 6th to 8th frets on the D string. Then we have F to B flat, so both 8th fret on the A string and then the D string. So again, it's like that, you know, the E flat to the A flat that we had in the previous riff, but this time it's on the 8th fret, so. And then we have, so we've got the B flat down to the A flat. So 8th fret, 6th fret, 8th fret on D string. And then just again, D flat down to the C, 6th fret to the 5th fret on the G string. Then we just have the F to B flat again to bring us back round. So, and then, okay, so, and we repeat. So, that would be, Then we just play the B flat twice, and we drop down to the E flat 6th fret of the A string. So we've got bum, 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 bum. So the E flat, then up to the A flat. So 6th fret on the A string, 6th fret on the D string. Then we have a syncopated rhythm on beat 3, so it's going to be 3 and that's on that A flat again at the 6th fret of the D string. So 3 and so it's just out of nowhere. So we've got and then F B flat to bring us back around to the beginning of it. So all of that slowly. 3, 4. Now, I'm sure that many of you out there will be a little surprised at how this bass line sounds in isolation. When you think of Never Gonna Give You Up, you probably think of that bouncy drum beat and Rick Astley's deep, soulful singing tone. You probably don't think of a robotic-sounding minor bass line that sounds like something from the Human League or Depeche Mode, but here we are. And the weirdest part about this is the fact that we stay well away from the root notes of those chords. The chord progression is usually described as G flat major 7 to A flat major. Round and round. Now that does work, and listening to the track, the chord does indeed sound like a G flat major 7, but I suspect it's actually an E flat minor 9. And they are similar chords, but the E flat minor turns into a jazzier 2-5 rather than a 4-5. It makes more sense when compared with the other sections, and actually makes more sense with the bass line. So we have E flat minor 9 to A flat major, so it's E flat and A flat, but the bass line is this repeating figure that looks more like B flat minor. Yeah. That's a B flat. In fact, what's happening is we're playing the 5th of the E flat minor 9, or the 3rd of the G flat major 7, depending on which chord you want to see it as, and working around what is basically a G flat Lydian or E flat Dorian mode. But here you can just think of it as D flat major. Then for the A flat major chord, we start on the 2nd, so that B flat then turns into the 2nd or 9th of the chord, and the scale movement is then considered A flat mixolydian. But again, just think D flat major. So yes, it's a repeating bass figure that acts a little like a one-note pedal bass line. You'll sometimes play songs where the bass line sticks with one note throughout, but the chords change over the top, and that's effectively what's happening here in much the same way as Higher and Higher by Jackie Wilson. The pre-chorus is almost the same as the verse, apart from the last bar where we simply repeat the. We don't play down at the E flat. Then to finish, we have another odd section in the shape of the middle 8. The chords are pretty much the same as the verse, so it's either E flat minor 9 or G flat major 7 and A flat, but we have a variation on the bass line. So here we have a very similar figure to the verse that we played down here for the B flat minor, but we're playing it up here at the E flat. So here we've got the E flat, then the D flat, and back to the E flat. So we don't repeat the E flat. So E flat, D flat, E flat. So that's 13th to the 11th, and back to the 13th frets on the D string. Then up at the 11th and 10th frets on the G string. So that's going to be the G flat and the F. And then back D flat to the E flat, 11th to the 13th fret on the D string. And then we just take that same line down here for the B flat, but we lead into it with F and A flat. So that's going to be 8th fret A string, 6th fret on the D string. And then we just finish it off leading down into that C. So that's the same as it is in the verse. So. And then we lead back into that E flat again with the B flat and the D flat, 13th fret A string and 11th fret on the D string. So that's the difference here. So, and again. So this is another hint that the chord is actually an E flat minor 9 rather than a G flat major 7. The bass line is actually moving to E flat for the E flat minor for a change. Then for the A flat major, we're using the B flat again, just like in the verse, so that's emphasizing that ninth in the chord. So that's Never Gonna Give You Up. It's a pretty sophisticated bass line and it's just plain weird to play. So give it a try and check out the tab and track over at the website by clicking the link below. Then you can also check out the lesson map where you'll find over 800 free bass lessons on every topic imaginable. Then if that floats your boat, sign up for the totally free membership to gain access to a ton of free downloads, ebooks, the chat groups and much more. It's all free, so just sign up and get stuck in. Okay? I'll see you next week.